This is a land of sand and sea. The past is a story of nomads and pearl divers, traders and warriors. The riches of the past were found beneath the waves. The riches of the present are found beneath the sand. These riches have enabled the creation of a wonderful treasure chest here in Qatar. The Museum of Islamic Art. 3 continents, 1400 years, and countless stories to tell. Some jewels are merely for the adornment of their wearer and sit in silence. Others have stories to tell. Some are stories of love and betrayal. Others are marked by tragedy and loss. Let me tell you the story of a great king who had everything his heart desired. It's a story that takes us across the sea to the ancient and mysterious continent of India. A land of great rivers and wondrous palaces. Ancient temples and shining mosques, where our story of great love and terrible grief will unfold. It is the time of the mighty Mughal kings, the powerful Islamic dynasty which ruled a vast territory of unrivaled wealth and strength. The empire was at its zenith. And looking down upon it all was one man. His name was Shah Jahan, leader of 100 million subjects. They called him the king of the world. But this is not a story about wealth and power. It is a story about something far more precious. It's a story about eternal love. This was a king who had a harem of thousands of women and many wives. But it was said these women had nothing more than the status of marriage. Shah Jahan's favorite wife, the greatest love of his life, was Mumtaz Mahal, whom the king called his jewel of the palace. It was said the mutual affection and harmony between the two reached a degree never seen in a husband and wife. Mumtaz was the companion, close confidant, associate, and intimate friend of her husband. This was a king who had among his possessions the fabulous Kohinoor, the largest diamond in the world. But his beautiful wife was his most precious gem. In the year 1631, the king and his family traveled to one of his many residences, the fort of Burhanpur. Fountains flowed and soft breezes blew in from the river. The journey had been long and arduous, for they carried with them a priceless treasure. Mumtaz Mahal was pregnant, soon to give birth. The queen and the women of the harem bathed in cool marble pools out of sight of the world. The talk was only of the new child. A child whose destiny was to live in a world of wealth and power, unimaginable to ordinary people. Shah Jahan was the sun and center of the shining world of the Mughal court, and he lived a life of unrivaled splendor. Around him swirled an ocean of courtiers, artists and politicians, scholars and schemers, musicians and Mughal dignitaries. The emperor and his family lived lives of ritual, ceremony, and spectacular celebration. But the greatest kings and queens are still subject to the hand of fate. Mumtaz and Shah Jahan had known great joy and sorrow. More precious to them than any treasures were their beautiful children. Mumtaz had borne him 13 sons and daughters, but 7 had died in infancy. Despite their heartbreak, she remained forever at his side. For the man, she was his strength in sadness. To the king, she was the noble queen. And now, on that June day in Burhanpur, she told him that the birth of the latest child is very close. Truly, he was the king who had all his heart desired. Shah Jahan was powerful and wealthy beyond the dreams of other kings. King Charles I of England struggled to maintain his court on a budget of £500,000. Shah Jahan's annual income was over 20 million. No expense was spared in creating a court of unrivaled opulence. The finest artisans created the most lavish items to fill the royal chambers. His treasury overflowed with the amassed wealth of all his conquered territories. And to secure his reputation forever, he commissioned the ultimate royal status symbol, the peacock throne. The imperial goldsmiths were instructed to take treasure hoarded for generations and construct the most lavish throne the world had ever seen. "7 years in the making, the throne contained 2,600 pounds of solid gold. 9 million rupees worth of gems were set into the throne, including the Kohinoor diamond. No one who saw it would doubt his strength and power. This was Shah Jahan, king of the world, the man who had everything. And then the hour arrived, when Shah Jahan learnt that his beloved had gone into labor with his 14th child. But Shah Jahan's beautiful world was about to change forever. In Burhanpur on that peaceful June day, messengers came running. They groveled before the king, afraid to tell him their terrible news. The physicians had heard crying from within the queen's womb. Shah Jahan ran to his beloved's bedside. "It is well known," Mumtaz said to the king, "that when the baby cries in the womb, the mother can never survive the birth. Shah Jahan wept uncontrollably. All his power and all his wealth meant nothing without Mumtaz Mahal. She held his hand and said to him, "Now that the Lord God has given it to you to rule the world, I have, alas, to depart in sorrow. Promise to keep my last 2 requests. Raise not any issue on any other woman, lest her children and mine should come to blows for the succession. My second prayer is that you should build over me such a mausoleum that the like of it may not be seen anywhere else in the world." And then, the moment after giving birth to her baby daughter,